So today I'm going to be doing Rosé of BLACKPINK. This was suggested to me quite some time ago, and when it was first suggested, I didn't get any indication to do this reading. However, several weeks after, I got a feeling and just something came up, and I ended up doing a different reading. And this has been a consistent kind of progression that's been going on. I'll get a couple hits, then I move on to something else, couple hits, move on to something else. And so I finally feel this is the time for me to record this reading. So of course I like to start out normally when I remember to kind of give you guys an idea of what I know about the person that I'm doing a reading on. So Rosé, I'm familiar with the name BLACKPINK. I believe it's a K-pop band, but I don't know any details of these individuals. I have seen her face before. I saw she's an ambassador for Tiffany, and so that's essentially all I know about Rosé. So the first thing that I'm getting is a reminder of an individual that came forward the first time I started getting a couple hits on Rosé. And it's a male figure. It feels a male dominant energy. And it feels like someone who is of some high influential caliber. It doesn't feel like they're directly with the music industry necessarily. I feel it's something above the music industry. I don't know if this means just in the financial sector or the influential part of it, but it just feels like someone who is not directly involved in the music industry itself, but is more powerful in some way and does involve themselves in the industry. So this person has their eye on you, Rosé. It feels like they directly know you. It feels like you have some sort of close, intimate connection with this individual, and it feels like some sort of deal that you two, well, it feels more like your I was gonna say I'm trying to say the word, but then they keep saying investors. So that's the term that they want to use when it comes to people that are kind of controlling your career. They're calling them investors. So these investors are mostly what's keeping you two in contact, but by your own volition, you are keeping in contact with them as well. But they feel overbearing. They feel commanding, demanding, and it kind of gives me this feeling that originally you were not wanting this involvement, but it's kind of Stockholm syndrome. It's kind of what it's coming across as, where you are more receptive of it and maybe even desiring this connection in some way, because it's been forced upon you so much that you just kind of learn to live with it and also learn to like it. But even the word like liking it's that's a wrong term. That's more of just kind of describing Stockholm syndrome, right? And this is being highlighted because this is a direct connection to a past. It's karma. They want to correct me because I want to say past lives, and they're saying that karma is a better essence of what this is, where it feels like you've lived a less privileged life, financially speaking, but than you have lived in the past, some sort of past life or past lives. But the level of liberties that you have in this life is very similar to these past lives. So you have more, but the kind of control over you is also greater, so it evens out than how it was in a past life where you had less and you also were controlled, but there was less for you to do, right? So it's very similar in that way. And there was this feeling of wanting more in a past life, wanting more, wanting to experience more, wanting to see more. And it's this feeling of, well, at what cost? So as you've entered into this life, they're interrupting me, your guides are interrupting me. I'm seeing layers, okay? So they're showing your spiritual guides and guidance, and it layers out of energies and entities that are overseeing you. And also I'm seeing this energetic output from you that transfers to them and then transfers out and transfers out. So it's big, right? And they're showing this parallel with some of these energies of being a offset of you. So it's not a parallel life, it's not a parallel universe, it's you manifesting and representing as a guide also for yourself, which we all do, but it's less, I would say, like, for some people it's less identifiable, where people may separate self from this representation of a guide, but it is still them. So it's showing all of this, and they're noting how there are individuals surrounding you, these powerful executives and everyone who are doing something similar to this, some form of divination, whatever's kind of their expertise, and they have been doing this for a very long time about you. It feels like since you were very, very young. And so they are fully aware of your destiny, of your karma, and all of the kind of roads that you can take in your life, right? You're through free will. And so it feels like they're throwing in a lot of distraction in order to keep you on the path that they desire you to go down because of their own wants and needs. It's not a need, but from the perspective that they come from, it feels like dominance. And so coming from that perspective, it is necessary for them, but it's from like a spiritual perspective, like the light perspective, that's incorrect. So that's what they've been doing. That's what they are doing. And there's a high indication from God, from the highest realms, from angels of the highest realm, who are encouraging you to have a deeper connection with your spirituality, your spiritual nature, your spiritual gifts, because the more that you allow this distraction to overcome you or to dictate your life and your decisions, and you don't have this fighting spirit, then the less you will be kind of trained, self-taught, self-trained to connect with them. So they're saying to go within and allow them to guide you, allow your guides, your inner guidance, your spirit to And they're showing me a koi fish and a ball. Feels kind of like a it's not a crystal ball, but it looks like a crystal ball. And it's not, it's energy, but it feels like water, like energy and water. It just feels like some sort of like movement and liquid and flow like that. And this koi fish going towards it and around it and circulating, encircling it. And they're showing like the ground like being very hot. And so it's this feeling like you can stay uncomfortable, or you can kind of focus all your energy on this koi fish and let it help you kind of flow through that energy. And then they're giving this example of kind of like someone who's lived a really rough life, or someone who's maybe has some sort of addiction problem. And so the way that they kind of perceive or understand life is a struggle. And so then they kind of fall into a more financially successful life or whatever, and they kind of carry that struggle with them. And they don't ever kind of take that life, those kind of, it's like a street life, out of where their life is at currently, right? Does that make sense? And so they never had that break. They just kind of transfer that energy to something else. And they don't ever like recognize or understand that you can have a more like positive struggle, where basically you have purpose and meaning behind what it is that you do that serves something higher. There's like spirit behind it, rather than kind of surface level struggling and kind of earthly struggles. And it's kind of very similar here as well, where it's like you're kind of desiring or pursuing something in your life, and your guides are saying, if you turn your gaze inward and let us reveal your path options for you, and the truth of you and the truth of your story, because the key here for you feels to explore kind of yourself and explore your past. It doesn't necessarily mean your past lives in full detail, but as you understand yourself more, then that kind of reveals the essence of what has carried karmically through these past lives, in order for you to kind of choose, hopefully and potentially, the struggle of something higher than kind of playing ball on the earthly realm. And in doing so, you will kind of establish your roots. You will become very powerful in self, right? It doesn't have to be reflected outwardly, but that will remain. It kind of feels like it would be very rocky at one point, from like the public's perspective, sort of. And then okay, so let me finish this. So it may look like that from the public's perspective, but what it's doing is clearing all of that debris out and solidifying you in something much deeper and more meaningful. And that doesn't mean to disregard everything that you've kind of earned up until now. And they're emphasizing you're a very kind person, but it's just this emphasis on really knowing who you are. like maybe some of that kindness is because of this feeling of lacking control over your own life. So they're saying to take control of your life, to take control of it, choose the seemingly more difficult path, because a lot of the threats are empty threats, and there's a promise for you that if you were to take this path, then there's a bigger promise that has to do with your heart, that has to do with some sort of vow, and that is going to there's just no comparison. It's kind of like when you have a baby and the life that you've had prior to this baby feels insignificant, feels very small in comparison to the love and the purpose and meaning behind your life after the baby. And so it's incomparable. And they're also saying something to do with Christmas and Valentine's Day, and kind of the essence of your energy in those kinds of holidays. There's like a shared love, there's kindness, and there's this it just feels like your inner child is locked. It's like you want to give, you want to play, you want to laugh, you want to explore, you want to they're showing like someone who is adventurous and wants, like, it's like, I want to go play on the playground and I want to fall off of the, slide, and I want to scrape my knee. Like, I want to know what that feels like to take risks and hurt myself in doing so, but know that I'm okay. Like, I want to be able to do those things. I want to know what that feels like. And you're locked in this world of adulthood, or you're locked in this world of manners. Like, so I'm seeing the word mannerisms. Like, you have to be a certain way, and you have to it's not just behavior, but it's also what's dictated for you. And so in order to allow that inner child to be released, you have to take that path, because that path is going to be the key to open that possibility for that to happen. Because it is possible in this life. You are able to have that in this life. But it's going to be laborious to get there. Okay, so let's pull from here a bit. And it feels like there is, when we go back to the beginning, because this reminded me, I did see this, but I forgot for some reason. It does feel like this high-level executive is formally involved with another individual, another female, and that has really got you thinking. It's like it feels forced upon you at first, but as you're kind of be more just in the Stockholm, then that's got you thinking about not just the ramifications, but like emotional ramifications of what this means, having another individual involved. And this is kind of represented here as that thinking energy that I was describing. And this flower here as kind of this represented to me in my mind, that's a lotus. And so it's that spiritual unfoldment, if you choose to do so, right? This person is hanging from this tree, and they're intuitively aware that there is a flower bloom. Well, they don't know that the flower is necessarily blooming there, but they can kind of sense it because they've been here so long. They've really been attuned to nature and what everything kind of sounds like. And so they're showing this as like, you can feel that there's a block in the breeze. So you're aware that something's growing there. And if you use your imagination strong enough, then you'll be able to actually, through your third eye, see this flower, right? You could see your spirit guides. You could see their guidance. You can see your options. You can see your past. And seeing it doesn't necessarily mean anything if you don't choose to free yourself from here, right? This can thaw out and you can still stay there. It's absolutely up to you on what direction this takes you. But what they're saying is this decision is going to, I heard, make or break you. And that if you decide not to decide, right, which is kind of like staying where you are, then it feels like something's going to happen that is going to remain. You're either gonna, it's like that other person is gonna walk away, like the other feminine energy that I'm getting is gonna walk away, is gonna step out of the situation, and you're further locked into this path, or you are going to choose to flee, and this is going to leave those two. Like, ultimately, that masculine energy is it feels like the dynamic is at the point where whoever decides to leave, they're going to remain with the person that stays, and they're going to focus all their energy and intent onto that individual. And so now it feels more like an opportunity where you can make that choice. It feels like when this person recommended this video, which was like earlier this year, it might have even been last year, I don't know, it's been a very long time since this person requested this video. Then from that point until now, it feels that that opportunity to leave the situation was not present. It feels like, if anything, it was intensifying. It was much more intense, and you were really, 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 you were still in that point of not, consciously not being okay. Now, unconsciously, you know, subconsciously, you are not okay with it, but it's just a way for you to kind of protect yourself psychologically. So and we have Ace of Swords and Six of Wands here, and this tells me it's kind of going either way, right? Either way for you. Now, this can be a shallow celebration, or this can be a sincere celebration. It's a celebration of you. So publicly, people would be celebrating you. All of this is behind the scenes, and so it's not necessarily going to be known to the public of kind of what prevails, right? Or what's even happening. And so they would celebrate you because it would be kind of structured that way, right? So for the most part, people would not know any better. They might have a hunch about it, or maybe people who have been kind of more attuned or more aware of the dynamics of kind of what goes on in the industry would know. But for the most part, right, only you kind of know how you feel, or how you know, what's going on here with regards to that. But it's really up to you. Otherwise, this would be your guides celebrating you, right? Celebrating you for this independence, right? This to me is taking the long road, right? And they're showing they're showing the grapevines as being like 100-year-old grapevines. Like they've been there a long time. It took you many, many, many lifetimes to cultivate these fine grapes that can be worked into wine. And so the payoff is very big, to be patient, right? Maybe the reputation of these vines, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, they're not as significant as these 100-year to mature, right? And so it's really about kind of looking at your life, or looking at this opportunity as, okay, I can either take the shallow route and be celebrated, you know, for this material thing. No one really knows, except for those involved and those who kind of talk and are familiar with that, will know what's really going on here. Or I can choose to potentially be seen as kind of going through some things, I guess, and yet I will come out glorious and glorified, because I will be, or I am, becoming this vine, this very old vine. And so again, the key here is really to look within, actively look within, and it's more than seeking out self and talking it out. It's intentionally looking within to listen to your spiritual guidance, get a connection spiritually, so that you can listen to that calling, that inner calling. So that's what I see, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.